Welcome to my presentation. My name is Grace Novak, and I will be discussing today the health effects and misconceptions regarding hookah. So what exactly is hookah? So it's actually misnamed. So hookah is actually the name of the apparatus used to smoke the tobacco. So it's actually called shisha at the top here. So let's take a look at the hookah apparatus itself. So it contains a water bowl, a neck, an ashtray, and the bowl, a hose, and a mouthpiece. So hookah, or using the hookah machine, dates back to 16th century, usually originated in India. It is still used commonly today. Approximately 100 million people still smoke via hookah. So how to smoke hookah is typically we put charcoal or ember in this ashtray up here. It is a longer process, so those embers will be ignited and will create smoke for about 1 to 3 hours. The smoke then travels down through the neck here into the water bowl and is then inhaled via the mouthpiece by the user. So what exactly is the tobacco that we see at the top? So it's actually called shisha. So shisha is actually a combination of tobacco prepared in molasses, honey, or glycerin, and is marinated with flavored fruit. So as you can see, there's quite a bit here, more than you would smoke with a cigarette. So this allows for the fruits to soak in longer to create a stronger flavor, stronger nicotine effect for the user. So like I said previously, it does take a while. So these sessions, the hookah sessions, typically last around 1 to 3 hours. More experienced smokers do tend to have longer sessions, somewhere around the 4-hour range. And there are different types of tobacco leaves used during hookah. So there's blonde leaf tobacco, which has a lower nicotine content, creating a lighter buzz, as some people call it. There is also dark leaf tobacco, which contains a higher nicotine content and is anticipated to last longer for the user to enjoy. That's not supposed to be there, but there is also non-tobacco based shisha. It exists, it's less popular among users. Many users want to get that nicotine effect. So let's talk about the impacts on health and all the misconceptions. So a lot of people associate hookah with being a safer option than smoking a cigarette. That is not the case at all. There is this misconception that once the hookah smoke reaches the water acts as some filter. This is simply not true. The water cools the smoke, but it does not filter out the toxins in the smoke. And then about 32% of young adults that were interviewed actually believe that hookah is less harmful than cigarettes. So this idea has been going around for a very long time, this misconception. So compared to smoking one cigarette, users are actually inhaling a higher degree of nicotine, tar, and carbon. And actually, as we can see here, on 1 hour of smoking hookah, users inhale 100 to 200 times more smoke than they would inhale from a cigarette from one session. And as I said previously, these sessions can last anywhere from 1 to 3 hours or longer. So hookah has been linked to higher rates of lung, bladder, esophageal, and oral cancers. And this is because, again, higher amounts of concentration in a shorter amount of time, and hookah is not supposed to be meant for daily use, but that is up to the individual user. So other impacts on health are very similar to cigarettes. It can cause a lot of pulmonary and cardiology issues, increasing COPD rates, heart disease, and carbon monoxide poisoning, irritation in the lungs, mucus, increased risk of getting the flu, TB, COVID, and also herpes and hepatitis. So this was actually very interesting because hookah is a more socialized group event. Sharing the mouthpiece with the person next to you has been linked to higher rates of hep C transmission due to somebody having bloody gums, and also is a very, very high source of transmission for pathogens, including viruses, bacteria, and fungi. It has been linked to low birth weight in babies for those who are pregnant, and it's always advised to not smoke at all when pregnant. And there have been higher rates of metabolic disorder associated with smoking hookah, which is very similar to cigarette smoking. So let's look at some of these graphs here. So are they really better than cigarettes? The answer? Well, you can decide for yourself. So according to this study in 2019 from Kassim et al., it studied the carbon monoxide and tar transmissions between tobacco-based hookah, single cigarettes, packs a days, and non-tobacco hookah. So we can see from this red linear graph here, um, the higher rates of carbon monoxide are seen in tobacco hookah compared to a single cigarette. Now, this makes sense because, like I said, hookah is you're sat there for 1 to 3 hours inhaling nicotine, as opposed to a single cigarette, you're going to get a lower amount of that carbon monoxide transmission. However, as we can see with a pack a day smoker, so somebody who is inhaling the same amount of nicotine every single time will actually have higher rates of carbon monoxide poisoning. So this can be understood why some people believe that it is a better alternative than smoking cigarettes. However, this is simply if you are a pack a day smoker, which a lot of people are. But as we can see here too, interestingly, the non-tobacco hookah actually has higher rates of tar um, than the pack a day, and the tar and the tobacco hookah still outweighs the pack a day smoker. Now, if we look over here too at the PAH levels, which are pretty concerning, if we just look at benzoapyrene for an example, a very common carcinogen that we see in cigarettes and in hookah, we can see here that there is a higher rate of a higher rate of PAH in tobacco hookah compared to pack a day smokers. This kind of goes for all the rest of the PAHs here. However, what is also too interesting is the non-tobacco hookah has the highest rates, except for this one here, of all the PAH levels. So just keep that in mind that hookah itself does not contain any filters. The smoke is pretty much unfiltered. So what is the takeaway from hookah and cigarettes? So neither or are better than the other. Like I said, water in the hookah cools the smoke. It does not filter out the toxins in the smoke. There are over 82 different carcinogens that can be found in hookah. And again, it is not less harmful than cigarettes. The charcoal in hookah contains heavy metals and hydrocarbons, which all could lead to cancer and other harmful health effects. All forms of smoking are harmful. Nicotine, uh, using nicotine is not the primary issue. It's usually the smoking itself.